What's up, guys? I'm your host, Brandon Real. I make beats. I go by Be Real Beats, and I'm with Connor Halloran today.
For sure.
He's a videographer, photographer, and recording artist. He's incredibly creative and just insane at everything he does. So I think I said insanely creative and incredibly good last time, but it's all the same. Let's get to it.
I'm okay.
So talk, bro. Tell us again how you got into music. Just the backstory. You can I'm not gonna ask all the same questions. Just tell that whole backstory, everything you can kind of remember.
Okay. So so what we were kind of saying earlier, I grew up like around classic rock, things. And I know like a lot of artists like say, they always say like, oh, I grew up around jazz. Like they always go into the backstory. So I don't want to sound like cliche, but like, that's what I did. I was like, my mom would listen to like the Eagles, Aerosmith, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, like all that kind of stuff. So I was really into it. I would always like listen to it in the car when my parents were driving and stuff when I was pretty young. And then as I got older, I'd say I started to get into. So I didn't talk about this first time.
Okay.
So I watched like WWE like
bro,
all the time. I was like super into it. So like all their like theme songs and like then like the like Raw and like SmackDown and stuff, they would have their own theme. And so like it would be like Seether and like Skillet and like all these bands like were like it was like rock bands and stuff. So I was like super into like all that stuff. Yeah. I was like super into it. Like I would go to like when I was like when I'd play Ultimate Frisbee like in high school, I was I know I'm kind of like jumping around, but I would listen to like 3 Days Grace and stuff like that to like get like pumped for like games. So I was like all into that stuff. And then as I got older, like I did when I was younger, I listened to like Eminem and like 50 Cent and stuff like that, Lil Wayne and Kanye and Drake and all that. But as I got older, that's when I think I really got into music. Like I think then I was just like an average music listener.
You weren't like a music head.
I was just like listening to like just kind of mainstream shit. Like and then I think
on the radio or like your friends had it on a playlist.
Something. For sure. So then like as I got older, I did search for music when I was younger and stuff, but when I got older, that's when I was like, I wasn't listening to like Pitbull anymore.
Yeah, dude, I kind of have a similar experience, but it was with my uncle. He just like got me an MP3 player that had like 256 megabytes, which is like 33 songs. I think that's so if I wanted to like put new songs on it, I had to like delete it.
That's
and like
hilarious.
I ended up filling it with like T.I. and like a Party Like a Rock Star and like
I had that like song with Justin Timberlake and T.I. and I can't remember what it was, like something about a river or something, wasn't it? Like Cry Me a River? No, that was JT's song. I forget what that song was.
River, like one of his
there was something that I forget what they were in, but I listened to like stuff like that. I listened to like oh my god, dude, I listened to Dead and Gone. Yeah. So then I listened to freaking, what is that guy's name? And he had like some songs with it was around the era of like in like the I was probably in middle school, and it was like Tayo Cruz. You remember like Dynamite?
Got you.
And Jay Sean.
Yeah, that real poppy.
And his name was Kevin Rudolph. And he had like We Made It, like the song like. And it had like Lil Wayne in it, and he had that one like, and it was like a rock song, and I think it had the word, I don't know, stuff like that. That's hilarious. I forgot about all that stuff. So anyway, fast forward to So and we'll get into like this later, but fast all the way from then to now, where like I actually have like an album. I think in the last like 2 or 3 years, like my expansion on like knowledge of like music and the certain types of music I listen to is like more in depth than it was like before. Like I know
your appreciation too.
Yeah, like now I think it's more like the music I listen to now is like more mature, than before. Like I'm not listening to like mainstream stuff or like pop music all the time and stuff. Like I kind of listen to a bunch of different stuff.
You found a sound that
I'm
drawn to or something like that.
Yeah, and I think I have more of just an understanding of. I don't know a lot really, like at all, but I have more of an understanding of like just kind of how like music works now, and like from coming like more of like a business standpoint, just from like listening to other people. I haven't like experienced it yet. I want to make that clear.
You mean like people you've met or like interviews?
Mainly like interviews, just like hearing like artists like and stuff. Like I definitely like it's like a whole different I think about it a whole different way now, like
for sure,
from being just like an just like listening to songs on an iPod Nano and and whatever. And then like, I mean, I was even doing that stuff like in high school, like I didn't know anything, but then like, now I understand a lot more. So
for sure. So now talk again about, how you got into photography and videography, and then how, you went on tour and like basically how you transitioned, not out of, but like
to music from photo and video.
For sure.
So and again we kind of touched on this, but so I went on tour with an artist here in Indy, and he was opening up for an artist, Devon Terrell, and I said earlier it was a coincidence, and then you disagreed.
For sure.
So I think everything happens for a reason, for sure. So I think Devon Terrell, I think he's a really talented artist, and he was he's out of like I think like Brooklyn or something. And he was
him on YouTube.
Yeah. So
he has some great tutorials
dope.
For producers too. Yeah.
So he was headlining that tour, and so like I went on that tour. It was like a month long. And I definitely learned that was another thing. I think I learned a lot. Like it kind of like changed my perspective on music a lot. Just like seeing like the behind the scenes of stuff. And it wasn't like a huge tour. Like there was probably only like it was like a 500 cap rooms. Like it wasn't like that big.
That's still dope though.
Yeah.
Like that's still a tour. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
It's not like 10 guys at a bar and like 3 of them's on your.
Even if there's 100 people, like that's still like an accomplishment. So
100%.
So, after kind of being around that and seeing the behind the scenes, like, definitely like changed my perspective. So, but I guess I should probably make it clear. I was on the tour to shoot photo and video. I wasn't on the tour like to perform or anything. I wasn't even like really doing music yet. So, it was cool. It was a cool experience. And then, I shot some other shows for like bigger artists like Logic and stuff like that. And then I did the Lollapalooza thing last year, and
talk about that a little bit.
So we had backstage passes. I went with somebody that has like connections with artists and athletes and things like that, and I was kind of documenting his trip. So that was probably like one of the craziest things, and I've talked to you about it multiple times, like not on camera or anything. But yeah, that was like definitely like, I think that was like one of the most like kind of, I guess life-changing like experiences or whatever. Like I don't want to make it that dramatic, but like
I feel you, bro. That's how I feel about festivals and stuff, just being around like that energy.
For sure.
There's something that's incredibly powerful about it.
I mean, like,
and you got to go to Travis Scott's
for sure. And not to like brag at all, and like, but because like I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have been around any of these people.
Nah, bro.
But I was so like we were there, and I met Post Malone, Jaden Smith. I was like backstage, and like Billie Eilish was back there. Virgil, I was with like Virgil Abloh. He owns Off-White, if people don't know. And we were with like him and like his like crew the whole night. There's a guy named Don C. He's like really influential in Chicago. He's like Kanye's right hand man. And then Kylie and Travis were at the listening party. Sheck West was there. Miles Turner was there. The head of Jordan's marketing was there. There's just a lot of like super influential people around there. Yeah. It was definitely weird to like be. It was like the first time I was like. It was like I wasn't. I was almost a part of them for a second. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Did you feel maybe you didn't belong or something?
For sure, absolutely. I felt like very insecure about myself because I was like, dude, like at that time I probably had like. I had like no money, and like I was, I wasn't. Matters, but like I was just like to them I'm a nobody, like 100%. Like they don't care who I am.
You weren't even doing music.
Yeah.
Like,
so they don't care who I am. I'm just a guy with like a camera, So like, and that's fine. Like I was just be there to just like, document and like kind of be a fly on the wall, like I guess. So I was cool with it, but it was super dope, like to be there and like to be at his listening party and like hear Astroworld, like the one of the biggest albums ever.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty crazy. Like that's something I'm gonna always remember. And to see like just how crazy like his fans are, it was like super inspiring, and I could tell like it was just, like what you were saying, like there's like energy, like especially with music, dude, like
especially with Travis Scott. Shout out Travis Scott, man. He should have won a Grammy.
Yes. Yeah, that documentary is insane. I can't.
For sure.
Yeah, he said something like, he was like, why'd they even bring me over here or something like that? Because
yeah.
they were like, he thought he was going to win it.
Yeah,
like they
sure. Like he was right there about to go like receive his reward.
And then they were like, and they said Cardi B, and he was like, he's like, man, away. He's like, why'd you even bring me over? So, yeah, and like I could just tell, like I was like right next to Jaden Smith, like at the listening party, and like I could tell like for him, he's already in that, he's already like in that space, like
sphere of influence.
He could drop an album and it's gonna be on the charts, like next week, and so like for him to be listening to it, he was probably inspired as shit.
Yeah.
Like someone like me, like I got a long way to go. This guy's already kind of like there in a way.
Right.
So but you could tell he was just like in a zone, listening to this stuff, like just like his head down, like just like closing his eyes and shit, like listening to it, like he was like really into it. So, yeah, that was definitely like, I think, that, and we touched on this too earlier. Like, I think, you guys, you, Adam, like Michael, like other people, like my friends and stuff, like, when I would like, not freestyle, but like have written stuff down, but like just like throw a random beat on and I could like rap to it. Like, I think,
bro, we were shocked.
Yeah.
We were like, are you serious?
Well, I think looking at me, like you don't think you would think I'd be like decent at rapping, so
right.
So
we just didn't know, bro. We didn't know you like had practice or what, rapping to your steering wheel or something.
Yeah. So I think that really, you guys and being around some pretty high caliber like people, and I think those two things have like that really sparked me to like actually pursue music. I think before then it was always just kind of like a thought here and there, but I thought like, again, like I was just going to be around music by taking photos and videos. I wasn't going to be around it by like actually performing or like actually, which I haven't performed, but you know what I mean? Like actually doing music. So yeah,
for sure. So now you can talk again about how fortunate you were to be able to create a business for yourself.
Yeah.
And then you can talk about the whole experience with school and, how that wasn't it. And then also now that you're full time doing your, working with your craft and video and photography and stuff, how you're able to pour that back into music and how that's like a blessing, you know what I mean? That most people don't necessarily have something like that.
For sure. So I think I'll probably go about answering this a little bit different than the first time, but I kind of touched on this on like that guy I was telling you about, who I did his podcast to, but I don't know a lot, I don't want to act like I'm like an expert on anything, because I think nowadays like people want to act like they're like an expert, like their opinions like their way or the highway, so I think like to anybody who's like trying to pursue something, especially like creatively, I think like you kind of have to like I guess like the right word would be like pay your dues, like you kind of have to like do a lot of free stuff at the beginning. I think there's some people that will just like, they'll be like, oh, like I'm gonna charge $1,000 for like a minute long video,
their first one
like,
ever.
And like that's not even an exaggeration, like that's literally like some people would like do that, and that's not really the way to go about it, because like you need to know your worth first. Like you need to like build up to that. You need to build a reputation and like a clientele first. And I think for me, like the way like I have been able to grow, like I'll touch on like first real quick. I was in school. I was working for my dad part-time at the same time. You and I and some other people we were with, my girlfriend and a couple buddies, like we went out to LA, and I think that was the turning point for me to like actually drop out of school, because I felt like I didn't need a degree for anything I was doing, and I haven't. No one's ever asked me for a degree. And so then after that, then I was still like working at my dad's a little bit, and at that time, honestly, I felt like I was like kind of I was like, man, did I make the right decision, like dropping out? Like I didn't know if I was.
Well, real quick, talk about what you were studying, and then how like you could have just done that all on your own.
So it was kind of like visual communication type stuff, like graphic design and things like that. And you asked like how I knew, like I didn't need to do it. Yeah. So I felt like I was already like I already knew a lot. Like I was already making videos and doing photos without any classes.
So it's like remedial, like you weren't getting anything out of the classes, like they weren't teaching you something you didn't already know.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely like. There were probably some things I did. I took a class and like we kind of learned how to like make a website. So like that was kind of. I think that definitely was like helpful. And there were some things in Photoshop and stuff that like I probably didn't know that helped, but a lot of it was just like super basic. I'm like, what, I was just like doing like Ivy Tech, like community college, and then like I transferred to IUPUI, so. In like all my classes, it was just like I just didn't vibe with the people there. No like offense to like any of the people that are like going to like classes like there, but it's just like it wasn't my crowd. Like it was like I just didn't vibe, so I needed to like get away from that. I felt like it like I was just so like lost with like what I was like doing. I was like, why am I here? And then even after school, like what I was just gonna say, like I felt like I was still like, man, like what am I doing? Like, am I gonna actually make a career doing photo and video? Like, am I gonna have to work at my dad's the rest of my life? Like, what am I gonna do?
And that was just a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. And like a lot can change in a year for sure. So,
and you've been doing video and photography as a business or at least as like
the first time I picked up a camera, pretty soon after high school. So it's probably been like, I'd say like roughly 4 years.
Okay. And then you just about a year ago got to go full time with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of huge because people think
less than that probably.
Yeah. So
definitely less than
at
that.
least,
like
3 to 5 years of perfecting your craft before you can expect to be at a point where you can compete in a competitive market
for sure.
For, any creative space.
And I think that kind of brings up like when you're young and you have an interest in something, do it then, because in my opinion, because later it's going to be harder because your brain's more developed, so you're like overthinking everything more. But when you're like younger, you're not going to I wasn't thinking, and to a certain extent that's like a good thing. I was just like doing. And so like if I didn't do all that, like if I started it now, I'd be like honestly, like with the music stuff, it's like a little more difficult, I'd say, for myself than it would be then. It's not that difficult, like just because I am like, I think just naturally a creative person. I don't think I'm the best, but I think I'm just, and so, so I think definitely like start it then, because if you don't, then like it might be a little more difficult for you to like kind of like gain traction with something. For sure. And so then I know I'm like jumping around, but I'll kind of I'll finish off this like answer with like kind of like, for me, how I was able to like kind of make a full-time career out of it is my niche is doing brand work for people. So like there's a company called Brewmate where they're kind of like Yeti. They do like insulated drinkware. I've done like a lot of work for Movement, MVMT, like the watch company. I do work for some clothing brands like Francesca's. They're in like a lot of stores and malls and stuff. I work for the NFL. I do like all that stuff. So I do a lot of like ad marketing for like social media and things like that. And like you gotta like find and it's not easy. Like it was lucky for me to find someone like Dylan. Like he lives here in Indiana,
For sure.
Or he did. And
he owns Brewmate.
Yeah. Okay. So
shout out Dylan.
Yeah. Super dope guy. And he's a hard ass worker.
He's grinding, bro.
Yeah. And so I think like with like going back to the school thing, like you don't, for doing something creative, I can't speak for everybody, like doing some other type of job, but like doing something creative, it's not necessarily like, in my opinion, about like a degree all the time. It kind of might depend what you want to do, but it's like building up a portfolio and building up your like clientele and like making connections naturally, like just like what we're doing, just having conversations with people.
All right, so I have a 2-part question. Then we can start talking about your album and the music that you're about to be dropping. So to kind of wrap up that first part, it's a 2-part question. So like, what are some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome as just a creative, and also kind of like what are some of your fears? And then to tie that into the next part, what is some advice you would give to someone who maybe is in your position 2 or 3 years ago?
Dope.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you pick this question specifically because it's me? Because I feel like I'll probably be able to answer like this pretty good. So
well, anyway, that was part of it, yeah.
So, I don't really talk about it a lot, but I'll talk about it. I really don't. Like, I don't talk about it because I think it's something I just don't even want to like think about. But I have anxiety, and I've had anxiety, and I think anxiety is used pretty loosely now. I think a lot of people like think of anxiety as just like, oh, you're like stressed out about something, like stress meaning like you're just like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, like, you know, I have so much going on, like, but that's like, that is a certain type of anxiety, but like that's
like the normal anxiety, like we have stress and we have things
which everybody has it,
right,
but I have like severe anxiety where like it's like to the point where like I think I'm gonna die. So like to like kind of like touch on that, and you know this too, and like, you know, people that are close with me know this, people that don't know me like don't know this, and I think I think it's a good thing to like kind of be more to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because some people could be going through this and nobody knows either. So, you know, and to go along with your question, my fears, like, you know, have held me back from a lot of things, like 100%. I had like something happen to me where like, so when I was younger, I'll go to that first. When I was younger, I had anxiety really bad from just, I think, just multiple like kind of trauma like things that had happened to me, like, and I'm not going to go into all of it, but like I think that kind of sparked certain things, like, and my fears come from, I think, not being in control of situations. So like things like flying on an airplane, or like when I was younger, like, you know, I guess like riding in a car sometimes, like, and stuff like that, like you know, I also being alone, like feeling alone, I think is something that was always like hard for me too. So, you know, kind of fast forward, I went through a lot of therapy like growing up. My mom like had me go into therapy, and that was definitely like the best thing ever. I think you can agree with this too. Like, I think if you and I'm gonna be rambling on about all this because there is a lot to this. I think you can agree with me with like, don't resort to, if you have like some like, you know, kind of like mental like disorder type things going on, like don't resort to medication first. Yeah, that like to like I think, you know, I was on medication when I was younger, but I'll go into it in a second. But and I think it might have helped, but I think honestly therapy and kind of helping your brain out in a natural way is more of a long lasting thing than relying on a medication every day. Because then someday you're not gonna have that medication, you know. Yeah. I mean, maybe. So anyway, fast forward, I kind of got over like anxiety and stuff, and I was like, I did like anything I wanted to. Like I was, you know, my parents would leave for a week and I'd be home by myself. I didn't care. Like I could go on like trips, and it didn't matter, like without, you know, parents, and
you like overcame it.
Yeah, like I flew to Seattle with like just another kid, like, and I was nervous, but I was like, okay, you know. Yeah. Of course I popped a Xanny to get on there, but they were legal though. They're prescribed by my doctor. But and that definitely helped, but I mean, that doesn't really like necessarily take away the whole fear, like you know, it's just like to take the edge off. And so I think I did you know, well, like through a span of like, I'd say like honestly like 6 years or something like that, like where I didn't really have much anxiety. So then something happened, I'm not gonna go into it, but and it kind of sparked it again for me, like this anxiety again. Like I had like a really bad panic attack. It was like extremely bad.
This is what we were talking about. What I know about.
Yeah. So like I had like I mean, I ended up having like a couple of my buddies like call like an ambulance. I had like it was like, I don't know, my heart rate was like super high. It was like a 180 or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if that's high, but it sounds high.
I think it's high. I think that's what it was. I think that's what I saw but it was like a lot of it's like honestly a blur.
Gotcha.
But like that night, like I really thought, like I'm not even like saying this, I thought I was gonna die, like in my mind, because like my head wasn't thinking straight. In reality, I wasn't, but like the anxiety like made me think I was like going to. So anyway, I've had to kind of like overcome that the last like I'd say like 3 years now, probably. And at that time when I had that going on, like it was just like a really bad time for me. That week was like one of the worst weeks probably of my life. And yeah, it was pretty tough. So you know, I think now I'm doing a lot better, and I think the reason is because I put myself into therapy. Like I made myself like start going again. And she would do things like hypnosis and like and when I was younger, she'd do like tapping on your fingers, like it's called EMDR and stuff. So like things like that, you know, kind of doing like meditation type things. on my own. I need to do more of it, of course, but things like that. And I think the reason why I like went into it is because I had so many things I wanted to do, and if this, you know, these fears and this anxiety was like gonna hold me back from it, then like I wasn't gonna be able to like live my life the way I wanted to. And like at the time when I was younger, it didn't really like hit me as much because you're not thinking that way. You're like just thinking about the present.
You're like, oh, I don't feel good right now, and I don't understand.
Yeah, but I'm like, you know, I'm like in like a 6-year long relationship, and like I'm gonna have, you know, kids one day. I'm gonna have to move out really soon. Like, I can't like go through all that, you know, while I have to, you know, be an adult, and I have to like grow up. So like I kind of need to get over that stuff. So
you would say like like something that helped you would, I mean, I'm kind of just like tying this together. You found purpose in why it was important for you to overcome something. You know, and I think that you can kind of start talking about, you know, giving people advice or whatever, but I think that's the piece right there is like a lot of people who, and I don't suffer like from, you know, severe anxiety or anything. Obviously I have like the normal, you know, amount, but we all do, like you were saying. But I think it's important to let people know that if you can just find a reason, like a why to overcoming something, then the how kind of becomes apparent. You know what I mean? Like you start to think about ways that you can kind of get through it and stuff like that. And you actually have hope, because a lot of people who suffer these disorders or you know, diseases and stuff, once they lose hope, it's kind of a dark place to go into, because there's nothing really to live for. They don't
feel like, they just like will continue to make excuses, like they don't, like why they can't or won't or shouldn't get over, like well, you know, with whatever they're like getting need to get over. So I mean, I think I don't know. So were you asking like maybe like advice like I can give to like
you kind of already touched on it. I was just saying like that was kind of the two part of the question though.
For
like,
sure.
How could you, you know,
if
someone who's going through the same things, you know, what would you tell them and stuff like that? And you kind of already touched on like going to therapy.
For sure. I think anybody like you know, because I know people very personal like, you know, very close with me and stuff, and you know, they've gone through stuff, and I don't think they necessarily like go about it the right way, in my opinion, and I think there's like a way healthier way to like control it instead of just like resorting to you know, medications and stuff. I think sometimes like maybe it's necessary. I mean, I don't know. I don't know everything, but you know, I've been able to kind of like overcome this anxiety the last like 3 years and really get to like a good spot. Like I couldn't even, like a few years ago, or maybe it's like in between 2 and 3 years ago, maybe not 3 years. I mean, I couldn't even like get in my car and drive somewhere like 30 minutes away by myself, because I was like, I had anxiety about it. I was like nervous that like my phone's gonna die and I won't have any communication with like people I know.
You were, I was like creating all the snares.
Like my breathing pattern was like always off. Like my breathing was like, it was called manual breathing, where I'm like thinking about every single breath. And that's what like my therapist told me, is like it's manual breathing, like where you're like thinking about it all the time, and you can't just like breathe normally. Like you're like like I couldn't get a full deep breath in. And it was like super, it's like stressing us out now.
I'm starting to think about my breath and stuff.
So like
I kind of had the same thing when I was like really young. It wasn't like I don't think it was stress induced. I don't know what it was, but it's kind of the same thing where I would do this like little hiccup thing, just like
I did. I had that a lot when I was young too. I had a lot of habits. Like I would constantly do like a bunch of different things, like because it was like a nervous thing. So it's probably not similar, but yeah.
So you would say you were like a pretty severe. You suffer from a pretty severe case of.
Yeah, I mean, it was like that. I think that incident, because I didn't have like a panic attack for like, you know, again, like probably like 6 years or something. So I think that like sparked all those feelings again, and I like, because I think you get to a point where it's like it's repressed, like the memory of like the panic, and so you don't really like it. You don't think about it ever. You don't really. It doesn't pop into your head, and it's like locked away somewhere. And then I think that incident really like sparked it again for me, and it really freaking sucked. Like it was I mean, it was awful. Like me, you know, like I was nervous. Like I was how old at the time? I was probably like I might have been 20.
You're like an adult. And
I was like gonna
be.
I was like gonna be turning 20 soon, and I'm like, why am I like scared to like be home by myself? Like it's embarrassing, and that's another thing with it too. I think a lot of people that go through anxiety, they understand that it's like, it's embarrassing. That's like a huge part of it. Like you don't wanna like when we go somewhere, like, you know, like we were in LA, like it was like I didn't want to bring up, like I didn't want to ask, hey, what floor are we on? Right, you know, I don't want to do that because some people, it honestly, like sometimes like it's pissed people off because it affects them, like because they
carrying the stuff up the stairs instead of the elevator.
And like and I always tell people like I'll take the stairs, like you guys, because like that's another thing is I have a fear of like, you know, elevators, like, you know, like kind of like claustrophobia stuff, and I still deal with that to this day, like and it's really difficult. It's really hard to
like you went up how many flights of stairs?
10 every day, multiple times a day,
just to avoid it. You know what I mean? So that's that's not a joke.
Yeah, and it's again, it's like, and it's just like something like every like person does. It's like a normal thing, but it's like it's something that is like I'm like deathly afraid of it. You know, so that is a huge part of it is like you're it's just embarrassing, and it's like you don't want with me personally, like it's like I don't ever want to affect somebody else because of my fears and my anxiety.
And that what creates more of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like more stress.
Right.
So like it's like I don't even want to like bring it up. Like even with like my girlfriend, like I don't want to like talk to her. I think you know her, right? But even with her, it's like I don't even want to like bring it up if I'm like starting to feel like anxious or something, because I don't want that burden on anybody else, you know? So
I think it's cool though that you can agree with this. Over the past, you know, couple of years, you've really found like a circle of influence that you trust, and also
for sure,
you know what I mean? Like we all care about you. So like it's probably a lot easier to manage that when I think you're not around others who, you know, are causing it, you know?
I think definitely like if you are going through like some type of like severe like, you know, anxiety or like panic disorder or something like that, like don't like be afraid to like tell people, like if they like think it's weird or whatever, then like that's their problem.
Right. I was gonna say too, like from someone who doesn't, we understand though, because we've had moments where maybe, you know, we experience it, it's just not chronic. You know what I mean? So we can be empathetic
for sure,
and we can still like, you know, help through those things, and not, I mean, you know what I mean? Like we're not going to be like negative about it or anything.
For sure. I think, you know, one good thing about it is like I do know how to, like, for example, like my girlfriend, she was you know, we were in Arizona, and it was like, I mean, like 20 degrees. It was like insane. This was like a couple years ago, and we were out like kind of in the mountains, like shooting something like with a couple other people, and we got in the car, and she started like getting like super frantic, and I think it was just like the heat was like getting to her.
Mess with you a little bit.
Yeah, and so she was like, her breathing was like kind of bad, and she was freaking out, and but like I think honestly, like I did a really good job like with like the way I word things and like to her, because I know like what I would want. Like I know like when you have anxiety, like I don't know how to explain it, but like there's just certain things that you need, and like a lot of people don't know how to, like the situation like where it kind of sparked it all again. I had a couple buddies with me, and they didn't know what to do.
They were making it worse. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like they did not know at all. Like
not to their fault.
They didn't know. They did everything like I think they a lot of normal like people would do.
Get you some water and be like, oh, you'll be all right,
you're
bro.
good, man. You're good, man. And then they just like start talking about the game, like trying to like you know distract me. But like in, I don't know, it's weird. It's like you kind of like for her, like I think I did a really good job like kind of calming her down, and she got on the phone and like kind of like talked to her mom and stuff, because I think her mom might have been there in Arizona at the same time or something. And so she got a grip on herself, and she did get anxiety again on like a flight going back home, but again I think I did an all right job like helping her out. So I think whenever I have like kids, I think I'll do a good job with like if they ever have something like that, I'll do a good job helping them through it, because no knock on my parents at all, like 'cause they probably had never had to deal with this before, but I don't think they knew like what they were just trying everything. Like they were trying to like get me on medication, put me in therapy, you know, like practice things at home, like do all these things, which is all good. But I think just certain things you like say to like kids like can like really stick with them, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
So.
No, that's.
And don't like freak them out. Like don't freak the person out, you know, and
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
freak out yourself. Do whatever you can not to like, cause then there's like no going back, you know,
For sure.
if there's like someone having a panic attack and you're like start freaking out too.
About them freaking out.
Yeah. Like that's not going to be good. Then like the person who's having the panic attack is like, oh, I have no one, you know, to help me out now. Like,
For sure.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's shift.
Yeah. We'll
gears.
get off this stuff.
No, that's good stuff, man. I didn't necessarily,
Yeah.
You know,
If you got
talk
something
about it for 20 minutes, but that's important. I think that's huge.
Yeah. If you got something going on, don't hesitate to get. A lot of people I think are like embarrassed to go like get help and do therapy. Like it's not embarrassing. It's like a normal thing for people to do that, and it's really, really healthy. I think everyone needs it. Like you hear about people, you know, that are like super successful and like at a higher like level and caliber, and like they go through therapy too, and it's not like they have like some type of like disorder, but like they actually you know, they just have a lot going on. They need they need a release, you know. So
for sure, I'd like to think too. My form of therapy is conversations like this with people who kind of operate at a higher frequency.
Yeah, and aren't just like doing average.
Well, not even just like what they're doing. It's just like some people just talk about things that to me don't resonate. Like they don't matter. Whether it's like talking about other people or just like things that's happened in the past or like the game. Like you were saying, like. For me, I always am talking about like ideas and the future and like things that, you know, how can we, you know, improve on a situation or stuff like that. And then those are like the re-energizing conversations for me. Yeah. When, you know, you don't have to like think or worry about what you're saying. It's just all like from a state of flow. For sure. You can connect with someone who's at that level, who understands and also feeds that, you know, conversation. Exactly. That's what I thrive on. For sure. To me, that's therapy. Yeah. It's not like I'm going to see a therapist, but I have a form of therapy. You know what I mean? For sure. So, yeah. Dope. But anyways, let's get into the album, bro. Let's talk about Mayhem. First question: why Mayhem?
So the full title is This Is Mayhem. Okay. Okay, so pretty much I thought of like a song name and like it was gonna be just Mayhem. And I had like an idea for it and everything. This is before I started like recording anything for the album. And I liked the way that it was like it's spelled out. I think it's like a cool, you know, word. Like and there were a lot of fonts that I found on the internet that like spelled it out, and it was like dope looking.
There's that like creativity. Like, oh, it'll look good as a dope
but I was like, I don't want to just like pick it because of that. That's like kind of stupid. Like I wanted there to be like a meaning. So pretty much Mayhem is like, I feel like a lot of people don't know the word, which kind of surprises me. I mean,
I know the word, but I don't know like Webster's definition or anything.
So it's just it's like disorder, like chaos, like things like that. So I think you know, for me, like I kind of like touch on this like on the actual album, but it's kind of like my brain works in a way where it's like I have like internal battles with myself with like someone did or said something to me like and it rubbed me the wrong way, like should I ignore it or should I say something, like things like that. Okay, so and then also with the word mayhem, it means like disorder and like chaos, and I think and I'm probably not the only one that experiences this, but I feel like I constantly have like internal battles with, you know, within myself, like, you know, what, and it's hard to explain, like it's like I know what I'm talking about, but then when it comes out, like right now how I'm saying it, other people might interpret what I'm saying right now a different way, but sure. I know what I'm trying to say. Like it's, for me, I feel like I'm like, I don't know, you know, if I say something, if I stand up for myself, like, is that the right thing? Like, should I just ignore it? You know, like, you know, don't feed into it, just move on. Sure. And I feel like it's just constantly like, it's like stressful for me. So like, I think, so I had that, and I'll kind of like explain like just like really briefly, like what the album I think is kind of how it's lined up for me. And I've already like told you, like, this was like the idea I always had for like the album, I think, was like, I wanted to start off, you know, more like braggadocious and more like I'm the best. Talk and like, shit. That type of like, the whole album's like, I'd say it's like definitely hip hop sounding, but like a mix with like pop as well. I'd say it's like hip hop pop sure. stuff. So I think towards the beginning of the album, like the first half is more, you know, talking my shit, and then like the last is the end is like more self-reflective and like more like I don't want to be hypocritical and like be saying all this stuff about other people when I feel like I might be doing some of the same things. And I want people to know that like, you know, I do have my concerns and my you know, things that like I'm not happy that other people like do that are around me, but like, you know, I make mistakes and I'm not perfect, and I want people to like to know that. So yeah, that's kind of like what the word mayhem like is kind of like meaning to me. So yeah,
for sure. So what inspires you as an artist? Like, where do you draw a lot of your inspiration from? It could be other artists or, you know, visuals or, you know.
Yeah. So so like in terms of like artists, it always differs. I feel like I'm into a bunch of different stuff. But I mean, I guess I would say like definitely like Travis and like Drake, and I think more recently like I think Post a little bit, just because I'm white and I think I'm trying to like
there is something to be said about it. It's like relating more.
And I think
to
I'm trying
culture,
to like find my sound more, and I think he's definitely like tapped into a sound that's like very unique to him, and like it's kind of hard to be like someone like him and like be successful in like you know, the rap community and stuff. So I wouldn't say he's necessarily a rapper, but
no,
but you know
I
what I mean. His genre of music's hip hop. So oh my god, dude, look how cute that dog is. Oh my god. Okay, my bad.
No,
Squirrel. But so yeah, I get inspiration from that. I mean, I really just like I look at a lot of beats that are on YouTube, and I mean, if it sounds really dope to me, then I'm just gonna like mumble a bunch of like random shit to it, and kind of try to find like a good like melody for it now. So yeah, and then for like topics, I mean, just I think honestly a lot of like stuff that like honestly like pisses me off. I think it's a good music's a good outlet for me to kind of like get that off my chest.
Right.
Stuff like that, and stuff that's like more like internal, and then stuff, you know, about relationships, like, you know, I have a girlfriend, we've been together for 6 years, so stuff about her and, you know, how much she means to me, and like stuff like that. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, stuff. So how have you gotten better at your craft? You said when you started out, you were kind of just like looking up beats and stuff like that. And now, you know what I mean? You went from rapping to your stereo or rapping to your steering wheel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To now you're recording at Azimuth, and, you know, you're about to put out a real studio album. So like, how does that process take place, and how did it take place for you?
So, I feel, I listened to like an interview with like Logic, was on one time, and he was talking about how like, I think he might have like heard this from like Kanye or something like that, but he kind of said, you know, like just mumbling over it and just trying to find your flow to like things is, you know, it is like a big like factor for him. So ever since I heard that, I was like, I got to practice this. And at first I was like terrible when I, you know, first started doing it, but now like it's like a lot more easy. And of course, like a year from now, the music that I made right now, like I'll be like, oh my god, like that's not that good. Like right. It's just natural.
And
but
you know that because as a photographer and videographer,
it happens all
your
the time.
work
happens
happens
like every month.
You look back and you're like, God, what was I thinking?
Yeah, for sure. So
trash. But it's like actually fire.
But yeah, and like other people like might not like really think that way. I mean, but like sometimes, yeah, your work's just gonna be better in a few months, just because you've known one little thing that you know, transitioned it from then to now. So yeah, so I mean, at first I would listen to like a lot of beats that I would just type in hard trap beat, like aggressive trap beat or like whatever, and now like I kind of I mean, I still do like use type beats. But like, obviously I want to get to the point where like people like yourself, like who, you know, are like making music. Like I want to like actually be working with people like personally and like have like
get in the studio.
I want to develop my own sound. Like, and I talked to this one artist. I'll just like shout him out. His name's Wesley Curtis, and he I know him through Instagram. I've actually had a couple phone calls with him. Super genuine dude. Never met him in person, but he seems like a really cool guy. And he
shout out the internet.
Yeah, and he has a song with this other guy, his name is Joshua Badione, I think is his name, but it has like 100,000 plays, and they have
Nice.
you know, he's a producer, and he's actually him and some other people, like they Quavo and Meek Mill were using like his beat in the studio. So anyway, he kind of told me, like, you know, a lot of people are like just like trying to find like, you know, these type beats online, and it's you know, that's fine, but they like it's important for you to just like develop your own sound. Like Travis Scott doesn't have a sound that's like, sure, you can say he's influenced by Cudi or something, but
right, dude, I listen to Astroworld like every day right now. Yeah, and I like actively listen to it. I'm for like sure. Headphones in, you know what I'm saying? Just like really trying to piece it all together. To end. Sometimes I don't get all the way through it, but dude, it's insane. I know. It's literally insane. I don't even know what's going on half the time. And I like know what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was watching like something with Pharrell, and was his name Clive something?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I think he's pretty big in music. And I hate that I don't know his name. He's an older guy, but they were like they went to like a music school, and had a few like artists that were like students there, like, and they would play a song for him, and he would like kind of critique it and stuff. So he was like kind of telling them that that like, he didn't say it this way, he said it in like a way more intricate way, but what I got out of it was like, don't do the normal like things that people are like putting on music, like, and I'm not like, I'm doing what normal stuff right now, because I'm just not at the level to like have a bunch of people like send me beats without like paying them a bunch of money, you know.
And
like,
I also think it's like you have to kind of, I don't remember who I heard say this, but it stuck with me. You have to learn the rules before you can break the rules.
For sure.
You have to be you have to do what everyone else is doing until you know it and understand it. And
because I couldn't do that now and make it sound good. Exactly. I know I couldn't.
Yeah, you're just trying to make something that sounds good.
For sure.
And that's fine because you're at the beginning stages of your career. And I think a lot of people, me especially, I thought, I remember when I first started making beats, I was like, I have to be the next Kanye. I have to be the next this and that. I have to just create something that's never been created before. And inspiration is this strike of lightning that hits you, you know, and the random parts of the day. And you know what I mean? You got to just get in the studio and like, but that's, to me, I didn't understand like what being a creative was. I don't have that creative background like you did.
For sure.
So for me now, I kind of look at this creative process as showing up, getting to work, and as you're creating, you get more inspiration. That's where it kind of all takes place, is through the process. You don't necessarily get, you know, you can't just be in the car driving and, you know, like I said, like something just hits. Sometimes, for sure, ideas and stuff, but it's not like the full process is completely drawn out for you. You got to get in there and just like, your skill set is kind of like your ceiling at that point. And then you max that out, and then you get to the point where you're like, okay, based on my skills, I can create the best that I can. So I have to now get better at my skills. For sure. Perfect my craft.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't just like hop in.
Doing some stuff that people maybe they don't understand. It's because you created it. You know what I mean? For sure. But there's nothing new under the sun. We can't just hop in the DAW, which for me, like FL Studio, I can't just hop in there and just be like, all right, I'm gonna do some crazy stuff here, and it's gonna be fire, and people are just gonna need to understand it because that's me, and I'm creative.
That's not really.
That's not how it works at all.
You do have to like know the basics first. You can't just like throw like a bunch of random shit together and it sounds good. Like I think you can do that later. You can't do it like later. You can literally like bang pots and pans together and make like a beat out of it. Like if that's really what you wanted to do, and like, you know, and just experiment with like shit that like not a lot of people are doing, and because people do like, you know, uniqueness. Like they don't want to hear the same shit over and over again. So
well, they do want to hear the same shit over and over again, but then they want to hear something that's so similar to the same shit over and over again, but it's different enough that they're like, that's different.
That is true.
What I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's evolution. Like you can't just, you know what I mean? We didn't go from cavemen to, or all right, I'm not going to get into that conversation, but you know what I mean? Like we didn't like go from here to here overnight. There was like a steady evolution.
Yeah, there's steps along the way.
Right, for sure.
For sure.
So how long did you actually work on this project?
I started recording in March, so pretty much from then to now, you know, including the recording, the visuals, the merch, the listening party, like all that kind of stuff. It's Yeah, it's taken that from then to October.
So what are some of the challenges that you face along the way from an artist standpoint, like getting things accomplished and executed?
I mean, no one cares about this as much as I do, but that's a given. I mean, that's like the same thing with anything. Like nobody's gonna care about, like, if there's a business owner, like no one's gonna care about it as much as them, because they're kind of like getting the most credit and making the most money. So I get that, but it's been tough just because like not a lot of people are gonna like obviously help me out at the beginning, because they have their own schedules and their own lives, and I only have like so much money to like fork over like for people to help me out. And also like I've paid, I think, every single person that's helped me out along the way so far, even if they haven't asked, just because
you know what it's like.
Yeah, I've been in their same position, like where like people might take advantage of you,
right?
For like a lot of work that you put in. So yeah, it's been tough just to like invest the money into it, because it's all coming from me. But like and I could have like done this, so I could have not spent as much money and just put the music out, but like I wanted to actually like have a listening party and have the merch and make this like look like I've been doing this for like a while. Like
right.
I've had,
which you have.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me that like recently, and it was really dope of them to say this, but they said it looks like I'm already like signed to a label and everything, and I thought that was really dope. And this guy, he's a photographer in LA, and he's around a lot of like artists and creative people, so it meant a lot, like coming from somebody like himself. So it was really dope.
Yeah, that would be affirming,
For sure, yeah. It makes it feel like this is like I'm actually doing this like for like a purpose, and it's actually worth it. So
for sure. So what can we expect from a visual standpoint, with considering your background?
A visual standpoint?
Yeah.
Oh, just like like the promo and like all that stuff?
Yeah, just like,
so I don't have
merch, video, promo.
So
just like
I have
videos.
I have the merch out.
Okay. Where can we find that?
It's this is mayhem.shop. So that's out.
Do you have links in like your
I have that link in my Instagram,
okay,
on
we'll
my
talk
bio
about
right
that
now.
at the end, for sure.
Yeah, so I have that, and then the album comes out this Saturday, October 5th, and I'm having a listening party that night as well, and it's gonna be super dope. And
sure. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, for sure. And so that, and then I don't have like a music video or anything planned yet, but I'm gonna kind of see like what songs people are messing with the most, and then I'll probably do something dope with that later. And yeah, so the whole like theme of everything I've been using like when we were out in Arizona. So I didn't really I felt like I was limited to how creative I could be here in Indianapolis for the time being. I didn't want to just post up like in front of a wall. Like I didn't want to do something like with like the cover and everything. I haven't even put the cover out yet, but I didn't want to just do something basic. And I thought it was like really sick to have the theme of like the mountains and all that stuff. And to be honest, I mean, there's not really there's no necessarily like a meaning behind all that. Just aesthetically, I just thought it was like really cool, to have the colors are muted, blue and tan and stuff like that. So that was cool.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about going forward and stuff after the album, because I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
I know that your whole goal was never really at first to be this charting artist who goes on tours and drops albums and stuff like that. But now you've kind of gotten a taste, I think, for sure what it feels like to be a creative artist and to create the music and that whole process. And I can tell that you've just fallen in love with it. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, and that happens to me a lot with things where I get really obsessed with it, and then sometimes I get burnt out on it. It depends. But right now this is really something I am passionate about, and I really I'd say I've been passionate about music since I was really young too. So it's not necessarily new. It's just more new that I'm actually making it a reality. So I think kind of what to expect, I guess, is I'll definitely perform at some point when I feel like I'm ready, and when I feel like some people will be able to go and actually know the words to the songs and stuff.
Right.
I think that's when I'll be able to do that, and it could be after this album, like, you know, really soon. It could be like early next year. I don't know. Just whenever that opportunity like presents itself, then I'll kind of like run with it. And because there's a lot of different like moving parts to like
100%.
performing. So got to have people like, you know, to kind of help me out with that too. So
right. And a solid fan base.
Yeah,
which you will have
for sure. So, yeah, I mean, of course, it would be really cool to perform in front of like a few hundred people. Like that would be like really sick and like get the crowd super hyped. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. What are kind of some of your long-term goals? Like, what's the vision for you?
With music or just in general, like with everything?
You can touch on both.
I mean, just like with life, like moving out. My girlfriend and I, again, have been together for 6 years. In February, it'll be 6 years. So her and I are like ready to move out. I think, you know, we're going to be like making that a reality for ourselves next year. And I think, you know, just kind of moving on with like our lives. And, you know, besides that, just continuing to, you know, build my business with photography and video. I do have a website for that too. So it's ConnorHalloranPhoto.com. And, you know, I'll plug my Instagram.
Yeah, plug everything at the end for sure.
Yeah. And, so that, and, you know, kind of like going forward with like music and everything too, I think, you know, is, going to be a huge, thing that I'm still going to do. Cause I mean, I'm already like writing for like I'm already trying to like make like an EP now. Like,
right,
you know,
right.
I've already recorded like
sure.
a couple songs that I feel like I'm pretty confident in and stuff. So I'm going to really work on like growing my sound and like kind of finding like, you know, what makes me in like, music. So yeah.
No, for sure. I think that's a solid place where we can go ahead and wrap this up.
For sure.
You want to just tell everyone, you know, you go ahead and plug the album again, where they can find it, your Instagram, and then just, you know, kind of wrap it all up with those things.
So my Instagram is Connor CONNOR _Halloran HALLORAN. And I mean, that's probably gonna be linked somewhere, but yeah, I'm gonna be like promoting a lot like the album there. Soon I'll probably like kind of go back a little bit more to my photo and video work for like the time being, just so people like know I'm still doing that. So I'll be like promoting that too. And then again, my website for the merch is thisismayhem.shop, and the album's gonna be out on Apple Music, you know, Spotify, SoundCloud, like Tidal, like all those like, you know, the big like music streaming platforms. And then if you stumble upon this and you want to go to the listening party that I'm throwing, then you can do that. And I'll send you the link. I think I'm actually going to be making it public later today for like a couple days.
I'm not sure if this will be out by then, but if it is.
Okay, yeah. So today's Wednesday, so I'm going to have it. It might not be public, but if it isn't, then you can like hit me up and I'll DM you the link.
Yeah,
and then
we'll probably have a lot of content too to show on your page from the party, which would be dope. So,
and then just lastly, my website's ConnorHalloranPhoto.com, and we can like link that somewhere too. So
cool. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming out.
For sure.
Yeah,
thank you, sir.
Yeah, let's get it.